Look, I just want to start by saying I have been contacted by people concerned about flags in Tallaght, about flags in Whitechurch. Um, and I think they could see very clearly that this was an orchestrated campaign of intimidation, where the far right was putting up tricolours all across working class estates in Dublin as a way of marking territory, to provoke intimidation against migrants and anybody who doesn't fit their racist description of native Irish living in our communities. And they took their lead from fellow racists in Britain with an identical campaign using the Union Jack. And you can see that the far right in Ireland are being cheered on by the likes of Tommy Robinson. And I think that's an affront to the history of the tricolour and what it has traditionally represented. Unity against British colonialism and for Irish freedom. And it feeds into the racist violence against migrants. Let's not forget there have been burning of dozens of buildings housing asylum seekers or rumored to house them. You had a Polish man beaten to death. We've had attacks on Indian migrants in Tallaght, and you've seen kids being bullied for not being white. This campaign of flags being flown everywhere is feeding into the idea that non-white people are why we don't have housing, why we don't have services. But like with that said, I don't support the council workers going in and taking these down because I do think it puts them at risk. They've already been threatened in Dublin City. And I also think it's a mistake to think that the state is an answer to the rise in racism and racist intimidation. Like the government is the one who is overseeing racist policies and leaning into the idea that the very vulnerable are the problem in our society, that we have too many people coming into the country. So I don't think the answer is for them to step in and tell communities what they can and cannot do. And I think if you want the council to act, then I would suggest that we ask for a bottom-up consultation, a door-to-door survey in an estate of residents where these flags have been erected and ask them, do you want these flags flown or not? And have conversations with people about that. And so I think for that reason, I would be voting against the motion. I understand where Councillor Duff is coming from, but I can't support it for those reasons.
Okay,